Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everybody in our listening audience. There's no one here in attendance at the moment.
Hopefully they can see us.
You're all set? Okay, we have the minutes of December 7th.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 7, 2009 regular session minutes as written. Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We have the minutes regular session of December 9th. Mr. Yule.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 7, 2009 executive session minutes as written. Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, second by Mr. O'Leary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. What happened to the regular session? Did this skip over one?
No, I read it.
Out of order?
You just did the December 7th executive session. That's
right.
What the motion was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was sorry. You're right. Don't mind me.
Surprise, surprise.
Right. I'm just looking at the paper here. It says 7 and then 9.
Shall I read the December 9th?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 9th, 2009 regular minutes as written. Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, second by Mr. O'Leary. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the December 9, 2009 executive session minutes as written. Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, second by Mr. O'Leary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Correspondence? Sheets down? Have anything? Anyone here for public comment? George, no.
Tonight.
Okay, we got a show cause hearing at 8 o'clock, so we're just gonna move on. Board and committee appointments, reappointments. Let's see, what to start with. I'll give you a chance to come on when you're ready, Jeff.
We'll start off with the treasurer.
With the treasurer. Okay, you didn't take them in the order you have them filed, that's fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move to reappoint Mary Ann McKay as town treasurer for a term to expire December 31, 2010. Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, second by Mr. O'Leary. Any discussion? I just comment, I think she's done an excellent job.
Yes.
She has stepped in,
Yes, definitely.
kept the house in order, and
Step up our collections?
kept
Yeah.
our collections. We owe her credit for helping us get that boost in free cash at the end of the fiscal year. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Next.
Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for reappointment as detail constables for terms to expire on December 31, 2010. There are two openings, Carl Berg, incumbent, Jerry Berg, incumbent.
Motion by Mr. Yule. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vino. Any discussion? Mr. Vino?
I am the liaison to this committee, and I know Carl and Jerry Berg have been a definite asset to the police department, and they fill in when the regulars are short-handed or whenever they're needed, they volunteer their services for the Fourth of July celebration and different situations like that around the town. So I would definitely recommend the reappointment of Carl and Jerry Berg.
Further discussion? Hearing none, since there's two openings, I'll ask just for a standard vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Next.
The MAPC representative, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for appointment as representative to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council for the period of January 1, 2010 through December 31, 2012. Greg Baliakonis.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. O'Leary.
Ruling subject? Okay.
Mr. Vino.
Yes, as the liaison, I would like to thank Mr. Baliakonis for stepping forward and asking to take this position on. This is a volunteer position. We do not have any volunteers who have applied for it. And as Mr. Baliakonis said to me, there's a lot of things going on the 93 corridor that we really should be informed of. And he will definitely keep us abreast on this. Thank you.
Any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
The municipal hearing officer, Mr. Chairman, I move to designate, I assume, Greg Baliakonis, the town administrator, as municipal hearing officer pursuant to MGL Chapter 148A for the period January 1, 2010 to December 31, 2011.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Of course, this is Mr. Baliakonis has served in this position since he's been town administrator, and
Right, and this relates to changes in the fire code that make the building inspector and the fire department the ability to levy fines against various businesses for not complying with the fire code. Those businesses in turn have a local appeal and appeals to the municipal.
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
For the Mobile Home Rent Control Board, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following name for the reappointment as an associate member to the Mobile Home Rent Control Board for a term to expire December 31, 2012. There is one opening, and it's James DeCola as the incumbent.
Now I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. Vino. Mr. Vino.
Yes, as the liaison, I would like to thank Jim DeCola for stepping forward. He has held this position for a number of years. He's definitely been a great asset on the Mobile Home Rent Control Board, and I would recommend we reappoint him.
On the motion, further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Appointments and reappointments Fiscal Advisory Committee. Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for appointment as members of the Fiscal Advisory Committee for terms to expire June 30th, 2010.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Motion
Philip,
by Mr. Yule, seconded by...
well, I haven't said the names
He's
yet.
not done yet.
Wait a minute, we don't have the
I
names
haven't
yet,
said the
Bob.
names yet.
Oh.
Philip Zeisig,
I let Sean
17
straight.
Sunset
You're right.
Avenue, James R. Perkins, 22 Mount Vernon Street, Kristen Scammon, 22 Redmond Avenue.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. Delaney.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Delaney.
yes, as a liaison to the FAC, point out that we have several openings on the FAC. These three residents have shown considerable amount of interest. They've attended the last three meetings we've had in consultation with the chair of the committee. I recommend all three for appointment to the FAC.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Board of Appeals, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for appointment, reappointment as a member of the Board of Appeals for a term to expire on December 31, 2012. There's one opening. There are two names, Joseph Keys, 10 Swan Pond Road, he is the incumbent, and Andrew Schultz, 4 Central Street.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary.
I will be recommending as liaison Joseph Keys be reappointed. Appreciate Mr. Schultz, he's also been expressing interest for a while, but Mr. Keys has been serving for a number of years, very active member on the Board of Appeals, steady influence, and very fair in his deliberations, and I would strongly recommend his reappointment.
Further discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote. Mr. O'Leary.
Joseph Keys.
Mr. Yule.
Joseph Keys.
Mr. Vino.
Joseph Keys.
Mr. Delaney.
Joseph Keys.
And the chair votes Joseph Keys.
Conservation Commission. Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for appointment as, or reappointment as members of the Conservation Commission for terms to expire on December 31, 2012. There are 2 openings. We have 3 names. Jonathan Cody at 7 Spruce Road, incumbent. Lori Mitchner, 174 Marblehead Street, incumbent. William Reed, 17 Grandview Road.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary.
Again, I'll be recommending the reappointment of the incumbents, Jonathan Cody and Laurie Mitchner, both of them are very active members of the committee, serving well, and I would strongly recommend again that they be reappointed.
Further discussion? Roll call vote. Again, Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. Cody, Ms. Mitchner.
Mr. Yule.
Mr. Cody and Ms. Mitchner. That's not easy, is it?
Jonathan Cody, Laurie Mitchell.
Mr. Delaney.
Jonathan Cody, Laurie Mitchner.
And the chair votes Jonathan Cody and Lori Mishner.
Okay, for Historic District Commission, Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for appointment or reappointments as members of the Historic District Commission for terms to expire on December 31, 2012. There are 2 openings. There are 3 names. Mabel DeFranza, 25 Bow Street, incumbent. Patrick O'Rourke, 1 Peabody Street, incumbent. And Paul Chapman, 97 Chestnut Street.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, second by Mr. O'Leary. And I've forgotten who's the liaison. Is that you, Mr. O'Leary?
Again, I will also again be recommending the incumbents be reappointed. Mrs. DeFranza, again, is a long-serving member of the Historic District Commission since inception. Is the current chair. Patrick O'Rourke is just finishing his first term. Been active, and would recommend that the 2 incumbents be reappointed, Mrs. DeFranza and Mr. O'Rourke.
Further discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. O'Leary.
Mabel DeFranza, Patrick O'Rourke.
Mr. Yule.
Mabel DeFranza and Patrick O'Rourke.
Mr. Vino.
Mabel DeFranza, Patrick O'Rourke.
Mr. Delaney.
Mabel DeFranza, Patrick O'Rourke.
The chair votes Mabel DeFranza and Patrick O'Rourke.
Hillview Commission. Mr. Chairman, I move to place in nomination the following names for appointments or reappointments as members of the Hillview Commission for terms to expire on December 31, 2012. There are 2 openings, and there are quite a few names. George Stack, 11 Swan Pond Road, incumbent. Michael Junta, 33 Tower Hill Road, incumbent. Paul Dorsey, 18 Magnolia Road. Peter Moffett, 2 Greenbrier Drive. Thomas McDonough, 19 Orchard Drive. Ann Davis, 23 Hillview Road. Paul Ashman, 4 Winterberry Lane. Peter Hemme, 55 Lindor Road.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Yule, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. O'Leary.
Then I'll be recommending the reappointment of the incumbents, Mr. George Stack and Michael Junta. Mr. Stack is here this evening as the current chair, former chair, past chair, longtime chair, longest-serving member of the Hillview Commission, original commissioner since way back when in 1988. Can speak for himself as far as the success of the Hillview Commission. George has played an integral role. Michael is our resident attorney on the board.